So without further ado, let's make a start. So as I said, you're very welcome. This is how to make your marketing more strategic, systematic and successful in 2023. This is the result of almost 7 years of testing and experimentation. We started Digital Freelance 1st of March 2016. Before that, I'd spent quite a lot of time doing freelance work online, and we fairly quickly found that we would specialize in LinkedIn marketing, which has really been very successful for us. So we mainly work B2B with multiple clients, a lot of them in the training, coaching and consulting space, and also tech businesses. We've worked with 64 different, but it's maybe more than that. The last time I checked, it was 64 different clients. When we first start with a client, we go through a strategy session. So what we're experimenting with at the moment, or testing at the moment, is to run that strategy session as a group strategy session. So before the strategy session, we send out a template, which I hope you've received. What I would recommend, though, rather than trying to type straight into the template, the way that I normally do it with clients is to get a notepad and just write some notes as you're going along and then transfer it into the template later. We might jump around a little bit. It may not be exactly in the order of the template, but I think it will make sense. The result of this is a marketing plan. We normally work on 120 days. I'll explain to you the metrics that we use to measure progress during those 120 days. But this, by the end of this, with a bit of the following wind, because I'm not quite sure we can do this in an hour, but we'll aim to, is that you will have all the input that you need to either all the input that you need to create the marketing plan within the next day or two, or we'll also invite you to request some of our videos, which will guide you and help you to put that plan together. So that's basically what we're going to do. When we started in March 2016, our strapline right from the very beginning has been small business marketing with guaranteed results. So the guaranteed results bit is the bit that many of our clients really like and appreciate, because it's quite different from marketing agency to guaranteed results. So the other thing, the other side of our USP, that's more the quantitative side. And the quantitative side is 4 times return on investment in 4 to 6 months. That is perfectly achievable. We've done it for several clients, or many clients. The other side of it is that we put our heart and soul into everything that we do. So any of you who've seen me on LinkedIn may have seen my decks here. So I also do live streams on LinkedIn every Friday evening, and on other platforms as well, 6:30 to 8:30. So the heart and soul is what we put into this. We really care about results. And we're passionate about achieving results for our clients. So we're going to share with you the process that we use in order to get those results for our clients, so that either you can do it for yourself, obviously, or it's not obvious, but that's one of the intentions, or that you can ask for our help, and we're more than happy to help. So that's basically the introduction to what we're going to cover. What I'd also like to do now is, it's not just me in Digital Freelance. Zach joined us about 6 months ago on an apprenticeship scheme, and I'm going to hand the mic over to Zach now so he can introduce himself.
Hi, it's great to have you all on today. I see we've got some familiar faces and some new ones as well, which is lovely. Just to bear in mind, there is a chat box, so if you've got any questions throughout, you're welcome to put them in, and I'll get them over to Graham when the time's right. But also there's going to be a Q&A at the end, and if you want to stay on and have a bit of a chat, you're very welcome to do so. It'd be nice to get to know you better. I really like these strategy sessions because it means we get a chance. Usually we do them one-on-one, but it gives us the chance to delve deeper into what you do and applying what we do to that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and I'll pass back to Graham.
Thank you, Zach. So yeah, just another bit of context. We have got a physical office here in Brighton, in Kent Town by the sea, and we're quite well known in the local community. So If I get distracted by someone banging on the window or waving, please forgive me for that. I will try to keep those interruptions to a minimum. But we're right on the road. We've got a glass-fronted office, so which used to be a cafe. So we may have some locals passing by as we go along. But without further ado, let's get into if we can get the slides working. There we go. So as I said, you're very welcome. So without further ado, I think that's everyone. So let's get into the agenda. So the purpose of this really is to help you define your B2B, design and define your B2B marketing strategy, predominantly focused on LinkedIn, because that's the best place for B2B marketing, we found. We call this session Maximize Your Marketing Return on Investment strategy session. We work on a baseline of, a guarantee of 4 times ROI in 4 to 6 months. So that means for every £1 you spend, you get £4 back in revenue. We're going to share with you how we do that. It's going to be a high level. There are webinars, videos of recordings of webinars that go deeper into each of the points, and I'll give you opportunities to request them at various points through the presentation. So these are the 5 things we're going to cover. The first one is defining 3 different audiences to test on LinkedIn using Sales Navigator. Second is design your test hypothesis. One of the things that it took me quite a long time to learn is all marketing is testing. So we're always testing against hypotheses. I'll explain to you what test hypothesis we use on LinkedIn. Get clear on your offer is really important. Many businesses that we've come across do free, pay me 20K or something, like a huge leap. You want a nice gentle ramp up on your offer. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about how you gather the data to write your copy and design your creative, which is key to any marketing campaign. And then finally, my favorite bit, find the recipe for your secret sauce, which is your USP. So that's basically what we're going to cover. So without further ado, let's get into step 1, which is baselining your starting position. We call it measure your marketing by numbers 1. You'll see this on the template that we sent out to you earlier. If you haven't got the template, just put a little note in the chat and we'll make sure that you get one after the webinar. So we measure 5 things, basically: crowd, capture, conversion, cash value, and continuity. This one is crowd, and it's basically, the question is, how many connections and followers do you have on your LinkedIn personal page and also on your business page? When we're doing marketing on LinkedIn, we always do it from the personal page, because LinkedIn is about connection between individuals, not necessarily about connection between company to company, if that makes sense. And it's always individual. So this is a baseline, so you know what your starting point is before you start to build connections on LinkedIn. Top tip is to become a LinkedIn creator. As a LinkedIn creator, you can have followers rather than connections. And as far as I'm aware, there's no limit on the number of followers. So I know Seth Godin, who's one of the marketers that we follow, has got like something like 250,000 followers. I think Rishi Sunak, for those of you who have that persuasion, has over 1 million. So as a LinkedIn creator, there's no limit on the number of followers you can have. And you also get other capabilities like doing live streams, for example. We're doing this live stream through Zoom, but it is also possible to do them directly on LinkedIn. Do you have a presence on other social media sites? We have presences on most of the others: YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, Mixcloud, but that's more for the sound side of things. And then you want to just put in the numbers that you have at the start. So that's the answer to the how many question. So that's baselining. Step 2 of baselining is capture. So this is the second thing. So after making the connections and nurturing them a bit in LinkedIn, it's normally a good idea to get them into a CRM. There's lots of versions of CRMs, from very basic like MailChimp, which is kind of a CRM, all the way up to, we happen to use Infusionsoft more for historical reasons. Other CRMs are available. But once you've got a CRM, you can get the email addresses into your system and start emailing. Most of you, if not all of you, will have received emails to get you onto this event, or to remind you of the event and to send you information about it. In terms of frequency, we would recommend emailing maximum once a month, maybe every 2 weeks, depending on what you're doing. If it's an event, then obviously it's slightly different because the cadence will be different. You can also make some, do a check between what's in your email list and what's on LinkedIn. And very often you'll find that the two are different. And it's generally a good idea to upload people who are in your email list up to LinkedIn so that they will also receive the updates that you do on LinkedIn. So the answer to this is a number. How many email addresses do you have in your CRM system? If you don't have a CRM system, those emails may be on business cards that are in a drawer somewhere that you've hidden away. I would recommend, even if you're not going to use a CRM, to put them into Gmail or whatever email system you're using, so you can send emails out to your connections there. So we're trying to go low tech all the way to high tech here, depending on where you are in your journey. Third thing is conversion. So for most of you, I guess you've already had sales. So you want to know, so you'd want to put the number in there of existing clients you have. And also just to check in, do you have a sales process? In other words, a systematic way from making a connection on LinkedIn to closing a deal, sending out contracts, invoices, that kind of thing, all the way through to fulfilling the process, fulfilling the project or the contract. In our sales process, we also have steps to request referrals and to request testimonials. So the sale, closing the deal, is really the start of the ongoing relationship. It's also really useful to have in mind, this is in a different part of the template, what are the top 5 objections to the sale that you come across. So there's some very common ones, like price is often an objection. Do you have the credibility, or do you have do they believe that you can deliver the results for them, for example? You'll have your own objections that relate to your specific business. So yeah, write down in that part of the template the top 5 objections to the sale. Once you know what the objections are, you can then start to handle those objections or inoculate against them, which is what we tend to do in the content that you're going to be sending out, either on LinkedIn or through email, depending on where you are in the process again. Step 4 is cash value, which is the offer. What offer do you make to get people to become a client? It's really important, is often underestimated. What we've found really consistently is we have a standard price list and we send that out before we even have a conversation with someone. So people will know what the price is going to be, either for a package or prices from, is another way of doing it. Just so you don't get into a conversation where there's a misunderstanding as to what the price point is. It's not helpful for your prospective client. It's not helpful for you either. We use Ryan Deiser's method, which is basically to have a product ladder, so all the way from what's called Tripwire, which is not a particularly nice way of explaining it, but it's basically the first paid interaction that a person has with you, all the way through core product, which is the one that you deliver consistently, or service, obviously, through Profit Maximizer, and working out what's your lifetime value is really important. Once you know what the lifetime value of the prospect is, i.e. the amount of money that an average customer will spend with you over the lifetime that there will be a customer, then you can figure out what your cost of acquiring a customer is, which is so that you know how much you can spend in order to get a customer that you're going to get back over the lifetime of their relationship with you. And then step 5 is continuity, which is how long do your clients stay with you on average and how many times they purchase from you. There are obviously there are lots of things that you can do to encourage your clients to stay with you. One of them is clear communication. One of them is making sure that they're happy with what you're doing for them. We have strategies that we use for that as well. So having baselined all these numbers, it will then give you an idea of where to start with your marketing campaigns. So if your crowd number is quite low, you might want to start with building connections. If you've already got lots of connections, but they're not in your email system, you might be running campaigns to get them into your email system. If you've got lots of crowd and lots of connections, but you're not selling anything, then you'd want to do more of a sales campaign. If you've got lots of connections, lots of people in your email system, lots of clients, but they're not spending very much with you, so you're not making a profit, then you would want to look at your cash value and look at upsells potentially or cross sells. And if you've done all those steps, but they're not staying with you for very long, then you'd want to look at retention strategies. So this baseline gives kind of a snapshot of where you are in your business fairly numerically, and which numbers do you want to increase. I guess potentially you may also want to decrease them if you've got a big email list that's not very responsive, for example, but mostly for most people, it will be increased. So that's step one, which is the baseline, what we call baselining. So now we're going to go into step two, which is creating your system. So what we recommend is defining 3 audiences to test. We highly recommend getting Sales Navigator. There's a free trial for a month. And if you get someone who already has it to refer you, then you can get 2 free months, which is what we normally do for our clients, because Sales Navigator is definitely an investment. It's not a low cost thing. It is an investment, but it's worth it. We've been investing in it now for, I don't know, 3 years or more. In terms of defining the audience on LinkedIn, there is an opportunity right at the top to use keywords. We don't recommend this. The targeting will be all over the place. A keyword will search through the whole profile of a person and will look at every job they've ever had, and will, if any of their job history matches that keyword, they'll put it into your audience. Not recommended. The best way of defining an audience is by job title. So if you know the precise job title that you want to search for, the list may be much smaller, but it will definitely be better. You'll get much better targeting, and targeting is really important at this stage. Excuse me. So job title, industry, and geography are also useful. Years in current position can enable you to assess whether you're looking at someone who's been in post for less than a year, 2 to 3, 3 to 5, etc. So if you're aiming at startups, you'll want someone who's been say a founder who's been in position for much shorter period of time. If you're looking for scale-ups, you'll want a founder who's been in position for a longer period of time. If you're looking for the corporate world, you might be going for CEO or marketing director or whatever is relevant for your niche. If you want to know more particularly about the LinkedIn system that we use, we have got a video for that. If you just put LinkedIn video, please, into chat, we'll make sure that you get that. It's about 30. It's a webinar similar to this one, about 35 minutes, I think. So that's creating your system, the first part of the audience. In marketing, there are basically 3 things that you can. There's a lot more, but on a high level, you've got audience, offer, and copy. So this bit is audience. So it's the first piece. So once you've got the audience, then you want to create a test hypothesis. So we do a test hypothesis from connection through to deal. So we come up with a hypothesis on the number of connection requests we're going to send out, leading to what number of first connections, and then how many content nurture or touch points we're going to do, either automated or manual, leading to a certain number of conversations, leading to appointments and deals. The numbers that we use for LinkedIn are 2,000 to 4,000 connection requests to get 400 first connections, to do 80 manual reach outs, to do 40 conversations, leading to 4 appointments and 1 deal. It varies quite a bit, but they're the KPIs that we tend to use. And the appointments and deals varies depending on lifetime value as well. So that's the test hypothesis. Really, really important to document what hypothesis you're testing. What I gave you is quite a sophisticated hypothesis. You might want to start with a much simpler one, and I would start with a simple one, number of connection requests. We baseline on 10%. So can I get, if I send out 10 connection requests, can I get one person to connect with me? If you're doing it manually and you're just starting out, you'll get much better than that. With automation, the percentage drops a little bit because the audience is wider. So that's the test hypothesis. So here we go. This is putting it all together into the visual funnel. This shows all the steps that you would go through in this particular marketing funnel. This we found is a really good way to be clear in your head on what you're doing, if that makes sense, both in our case for us and for our client. But if you're doing it for yourself, how you're gonna this is the steps that you're going to go through to book an appointment. Particularly for B2B marketing, book an appointment is really the key step. Almost the vast majority, it's not true all of them, but the vast majority of B2B sales will be through a face-to-face appointment. So next step then is your irresistible offer. We specialize in what we call transformational marketing, which is the focusing on the transformation that you can provide for your client or customer in order to work out we do basically a before and after, before the client interacts with your service and after the client interacts with your service. And we use the statement of value method. If you want to know more about the statement of value method, that's a separate webinar. Feel free to ask and we'll send you a video of that particular part of the process. We've also created a value proposition canvas for many of our clients. And also it's really, really important this when you break down the steps in your offer to articulate the benefits of every step in the process, including the appointment, because when you're trying to get someone to an appointment, you need to explain why they would want to talk to you. It's really important. We also recommend creating a simple pitch deck, which we turned it into a video called Digital Freelance Transformation. But for most of our clients, we recommend simple pitch deck. And then the most important thing in all this is to prove your first conversion. So many people try and scale, of our clients in particular, try and scale before they've sold anything. And you can't scale something that hasn't been proven. It doesn't make any sense at all. So we highly recommend proving your first conversion before you try and scale, and just really focus on all the steps to get the first sale. Or if you already have clients, to get your next sale, do it systematically, step by step. Then you'll have a proven process that you can follow going forward. This, as I was saying at the beginning, is 5 years of experience building a process that works. It's not necessarily super quick, but it's definitely worth doing. So copy and creative, really important. You want to gather the data in order to write the copy and design the creative, to make sure that it all flows through. Storytelling is really, really important in marketing, particularly nowadays where there's so much noise out there. It's really good to know how to tell a good story. I think Rob said that was it Rob said that he's a copywriter. So I'm sure you'll be very familiar with this. We use the StoryBrand framework. We recommend highly create the story first, then choose the creative and the graphics to support the story that you're telling. Don't do it the other way around. Make sure it's consistent, that every step of the process is kind of like smooth and flowing and leads to the result that you want to achieve, which in this case, in many ways, I've been talking about appointments so far, but I just kind of realized a lot of what we do is education. So if you're educating your client on what they need to do, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll all become clients, if that makes sense. As long as you're delivering value and educating along the way, you don't run into all the problems of this person spamming me or anything, because it's genuinely valuable information that you're providing. in the copy and the creative. So now we get to step 5, the secret sauce. This is my favorite bit, I must admit. So this is looking for what makes you unique. We use the SPICE model, which is soul, purpose, inspire, create, engineer. The secret sauce is really the soul of your business. Many people will tell you, "Oh, we're just the same as everybody else. No, we're not unique at all." But it's not actually true. There is something that's unique about you, whether it's the process that you use, whether it's the way that you interact with people, whether it's the hobbies that you have, whether it's the way that you do things. I would say with this, don't make sure it's authentic. Don't just come up with something because it sounds good. Make sure that it's authentic, make sure it's human, make sure that it's kind of demonstrable. And don't rush it. Take your time to find your secret sauce. It can take some time. Some questions that are useful to find your secret sauce is: what change do you seek to make? How do you enroll people in the transformation you provide? And how do you create a network effect so that the story will spread? So that's your USP, secret sauce. And then most importantly of all is to track your progress, measure your results for each of your KPIs. We do it every day, week and month for different KPIs. Every day we have a start, Zach and I get together and have a start day and end of day project review. Make sure that we know exactly what we're doing that day, the start day, make sure we've done it. The next day, if we haven't, we schedule it for the following day and chase up with content that we often do from our clients. Just to remind them what their role is in the process. So that was a quick whistle step tour. I know that was quite a high level overview. I hope you've been making some notes. You can go back to the template and fill in all the information that you gather. You can spend some time reflecting and thinking on about it. And then you can decide if you're ready to make your marketing more strategic, systematic and successful. In 2023, I sincerely hope you are. Marketing does work, no question about it. It needs to be done consistently, and I believe personally